Hi there, sweet ones. So, um, I I didn't get the question, but I asked the question actually. And if any of you have any other requests or wishes for what I could talk about, I appreciate that too. So one of them, now I haven't read it exactly now, so but it was about what vision I have and how to reach that. I think it was more in a context of the whole world kind of thing though. And I just realized that I kind of bugged some other one recently in these few last days with the same kind of question without realizing I don't have a clear vision myself actually. Or I have written down a few thoughts though, because I tend to drift and go out of topic, so I thought I should write a little bit down. Maybe I will stray anyway, but at least I have it there. And this is just from the top of my head, like instant. So I will think it through, but I wanted to check in and just talk to you today when I have a little bit of time for that. And I have, especially now during summer, I feel like I really want to, especially from social media, disconnect a bit. Not all the time, I like that too, but much more than usually, so much more than usual, you say. So, anyways, it's interesting how I just didn't realize that myself, while kind of really, really pressing on that when it comes to someone else I talk to, so interesting. But when I thought it through then, so I think the reason why I haven't really a clear vision for that is because also maybe now, okay, I will stray because this I haven't written down, I just come to think about it now, but I think one of the reasons maybe because I have kind of been tapping into different kinds of future. I think we have the ability to influence or maybe even control, what do I know, but at least very much so influence what is going to happen. And since I have this ability of clairvoyance and such psychic ability, not that I can see whatever I like, but sometimes, or maybe I can, but I don't do that. But it is shown to me certain things can like pop up suddenly. So if I tune into something, of course I can see that. But yeah, I can't go around tuning into everything and every maybe possibilities or so on. But anyways, I think maybe I was a bit overwhelmed with the whole perspective of like having or seeing every tiny little even attitude, not even action, and how that would in turn influence the whole snowball effect into a lot of things. And just seeing that was like, and this happened last spring, by the way, a little bit more than a year ago, or actually around exactly a year ago, that I realized those kinds of things. And so I think to kind of keep myself sane more than not, I did that before too a lot. I realized that a lot is created from the now, so therefore my focus have been very much on feeling good in the now, and how that also influences a whole lot into the future and creates but also not just the now and be absolutely responsible towards the future. But yeah, that's why I think I have no absolute clear vision of that. Although I work with that in my shamanic work and healing and so on, I see the health, even if I heal to the nature in various ways. I mean, let's say it this way, I can receive information and also I can project, like creation, you can say, actually. Yeah, and in that way influence by with my own intent, see some polluted lake clarified or whatever else. There was those trees out here, especially last year. I don't think there is a lot now. They had those spin things. I don't know what kind of bugs they are. It becomes all white on the trees, And so I sat here healing, protecting the trees. And I mean, in my mind, in my experience, it have effect. There are those who would question that though, but yeah, was less than for that. But yeah, well, so but usually the things I do have been very much concentrated in the now, and I feel that have been also because it have felt as because other things have been too overwhelming. I felt that I needed to narrow it is in the now we always create, though. Even the future, there is always the now. We cannot be anywhere else, ever. So I try to call in all my resources and my soul into this moment here and now, because I was too spread out. As I also talked about, I drift. I've not even come to anything I've written down now. I talked about this, how I felt that it was like too wide perspective, or what can I say, as I felt it. And so I realized that I need to not only narrow myself in the way of focusing just on what I was doing in the moment and like mindfulness, but also not mix too many. I worked with a lot of techniques from various traditions, from various times and cultures, and I realized that I need to really be here and now in that way too. So I let go of a lot of things. I thought a lot about the things that happens to the Sami people, for example, here in Sweden, the natives of Sweden, and how I realized also that you can tap into a lot of things, but it's still a now. And also you can heal, as I think, back in time and into the future and so on as well. But I realized that to hold everything like that at the same time was just too much, and for me to feel good, honestly, I needed to let go of that, and not like forever or totally, but a lot, because it was too many different energies at the same time for a little human as I to hold. I felt at the time, anyways. So at least to have the most of the focus on the now. Yeah. So, there is so much about that. That was kind of a bit of a tiny awakening thing going on there, which scared me, I guess. No, it didn't really scare me. It was like catharsis, is that a word? Yeah. It was like a cleansing process as well. It was like very strange, very strange. And it was not only my cleansing. I focused on, I've done that a few times now, doing a vision quest, talking about vision. And I think I will never do, I really appreciate the results sort of that, but I'm not so sure I will do that ever again. Because even just the focus, I mean, you open up to the spirits, hello, like, it was a bit much. And it was not only cleansing or seeing through a lot of things in my life at the same time, and so, but also in the world, and also a lot of things going on, in the world, let's say, and as well as my ancestors' lines of, healing things for them, let's say. So it was kind of a heavy process, that kind of a week or so. And I think, I don't know. So anyways, I was focused like at the here and now much before. Actually, okay, I drift a lot more now, but as I've talked about spiritually, because this is what my visions are about. But they are, of course, reflected in reality, in the physical third dimension reality as well. I've mentioned this before, that I've tapped into the spiritual realm in various ways, or through various channels or descriptions of what that would be or so. And it began with Christianity, because this is the culture here, or have been at least much. And so that was like the first thing I tapped into. But then, of course, I was too curious, so I had to. I was not only too curious; it was like part of my path. Very, very early, I was interested in occult and drawn to that very, very passionately. Everything you cannot know, or if you go step outside of the borders, I wanted to go further and further outside of the known in many ways, but that is one of the ways. And later on, as I've talked about, I won't go into that whole timeline of whatever I woke up to, but I've seen that there have been so deep truths for me in each path that I've crossed or I've walked on, and to me they have never, the paths themselves have never been in conflict with each other. It have just been adding another piece to the puzzle, or another. It have deepened the whole. It's difficult to explain, but when I practiced Wicca for some years, so trained in that in a coven, then and it was my search for the natives' ways that I found in that the way it was described. And so since I didn't know anyone from my ancestors or anyone around who could teach me that from the Samis, so I wanted to I had this it was like a lack of information or of knowledge that I felt a craving for, this more connecting with nature and the earth and our bodies as well, and the holiness of sexuality and everything like that. I felt that it was cut off the whole God far away in the skies. I don't know, but yeah. But I felt really connected to that too. But it was like something missing, something not there. And that really did fill that space, but still it was very, very active though. And very intense. Awesome, and I really needed that, but in so many ways. I really, really needed that to really ground myself in my physical body and everything. I was really spaced out before. And so after that, I never stopped following a path. Like, okay, I know I drift from the whole question, but I'm getting there, I think, to what I've written somewhat. Then I felt I needed really a break. It was really intense for me, and the way the tradition was, it kind of demanded more commitment than I had the energy at the time. I had these problems dealing with myself, with food addiction, and being at its treatment. It was too much, and dealing with things, memories that came up, all kinds of things. It was just too much, and so I needed to just pause, sort of. And so I started to practice Zen and sitting in Zazen every day, and it was really, really needed, and it gave me everything I needed at the time. So I did that for at least a half a year or something. I was sitting in Zazen every morning and every evening, and it gave me a solidity and a stability inside, and also just letting the thoughts just move like clouds, not being attached to anything or anything I saw. Even I saw visions and such then too, and just seeing what I saw, but not being not reacting to it, even scary visions or whatever. Just be present, like. And it was such a liberation, and I think from that, although after a while there, that got too boring. I mean, I wanted to be in this whole drama of life still, and not only like in that way. I felt that in a way, no, I wanted to play here in life more than that, let's say. And so, but I still have that in me too, and that's where I go when I need to breathe, let's say. And it's still part of my path all the time. That's one thing that I hold the hand of Zen, let's say, always. So therefore, I think I always have been coming back to the now. And being present in the now, and that in itself is fulfillment enough, honestly. It's awesome and amazing if we don't drift into everything else. So it was like a question. I think today I listened to certain visualizations or such sometime, and there was like, ask yourself what your vision of heaven is. And I was sitting here in this chair, and I just felt this, this is heaven, and I'm so happy I can become that. Amazed by life itself, amazed by the ability to. I don't want to go to another heavenly place. Maybe someday, but just being in the physical is awesome. It's a miracle. Just be able to touch and to see and to feel, hear things, and just the whole being in this body experience, and everything, all the sensual pleasures that are existing around all the time. If we just tap into that moment of now, then it's overwhelming, really, the fantasticness of it, let's say. So Yeah, I think we need that. I need it anyways. To not only strive always somewhere else. It's always here. It's never gone. And also, there was this. I talked about this in some video just right after I saw this program. It was on some science TV thing, and they talked about how we see, like with our eyes, really, how we see the world around us with our eyes. I mean, in that we see, and how they described how we cannot perceive things we don't expect to see in a way, or we can change it tiny bits, but usually it's in the back of our head or somewhere. We have these preconceptions of what we think we will see, and most of what we see, I don't know if it was like 80%, maybe more, of what we see comes from that part, and then we tiny bits it is adjusting. But if we didn't do that, we would go crazy, like, because we can't handle that information. We wouldn't maybe see anything, or if we didn't have any expectations, we wouldn't know how to interpret that information through our eyes. So, it's really interesting, and how we never see something talking about the now, how we never see something in the now, because it takes some, I don't know, millisecond, I don't know for how long, but it takes some tiny bit of time anyway for us to adjust that whole process of what we expect to this new experience we meet right then and there. So we don't ever see anything right now with our eyes. And I mean, isn't that interesting? So it's made up that way. So I think it's like this kaleidoscope, or what's the word? I mean, yeah, and that was what I experienced for several years after I was like 20 and had this psychosis, harsh psychosis, when everything was transparent after that. And that was a very weird world compared to what others experienced. But to me, also when it came to times and everything was really strange then, but gradually the world around became more and more solid to me, and I more and more came down into my physical body every time I journeyed in this shamanic path. Let's say I entered back into myself more solidly, and that was what I needed the most. I think most people want to learn how to get out, let's say. Yeah, it's really interesting. Anyways, maybe you don't think so, but yeah. So, yeah. So, anyways, everything was transparent. When I looked at whatever, I saw that it was not real. It was like transparent, like the world in a illusionary frame around, when the under, it was worst with the under, because I was walking on what others thought was solid asphalt or something, but for every step, although I kept seeing that for many years, I felt like I was going to like fall down, through it, because it was not solid. Yeah. Strange. Anyways, so to the visions now, whatever have I written here. And you know that one of my pet peeves have been the law of attraction, but still I have to realize, or I saw that a lot. I have seen that many times. The reality itself teaches us and shows us all the things. So it's so interesting, almost weird. It's really, really weird, the synchronicities and stuff. Like for example, the other day I talked about this. I never talked about it for years, and it was a long time since I saw it. The Central Park 5 or whatever it was called. Anyways, then I don't even read papers much, and my mom had bought the paper today, and this was just this couple last days. And I mean, of course, you recognize the things that are like that, and it may happen a lot of other things that are not, but still, it's one of those things, you know. Then there was this full page just in that. Although now they apparently have started a miniseries on Netflix about that. But I hadn't heard about that when I talked about it. I had seen some documentary long ago about it. But anyways, yeah, at times I realized this long before, like, you know, almost 20 years ago, I saw that the inside and the outside are just like reflections. The law of reflection, Thiel call it, for example. The law of attraction. Then I saw that this is perfect match. Everything I think have a sort of a reflection in the outer. It's not that I create it, but. And at the time, my husband, then he thought I was like, what is it called when you think everything is like centered about yourself and you're creating everything, you know. But many think that now. So, but anyways, I didn't think about it that way. I just saw the reflection all the time. So it was like fascinating to me. Oh, it's like this sort of thing. And so gradually, although I've hard time to swallow certain ways it is described, and so still I think that would be probably my answer. But I will think this through more and come back, maybe hopefully with a longer video or something. Or this may even get very long. I didn't mean to, but for now, my thoughts about this is that I think that, you know, when it comes to things, they will always be there, all the possibilities, but I think, and I mean, if you question me now, I will not be able to stand up for this because I can't explain it much well. But this is what I think, or this is what I've experienced so far as truth, as reality. But I'm not saying I can explain it or defend it or even be sure of it. But this is what I see, and that was what I wanted to talk about then. Yeah, so I think it's always there. It will never like vanish, you know. If you think about it in the greatest scale, what would be the vision for the world, I think it's perfect. I think it's perfected, and that sounds horrible because there are horrible things happening. But you know, this contrast is there. The diversity is there for us, not against us. Like it's like a. No, you can't maybe talk about like, you know, those buffet tables of food and you can choose, but it's almost, yeah, it's really, really for us to learn and develop and understand our own consciousness, I think. So I don't think the world needs change in that sense. It's there for us to learn about ourselves. But yeah, you could argue against that much. I know, I could myself even. But we can turn away from things that we don't want or that are destructive to ourselves, and so like create our own reality. But actually, in the law of attraction, let's say, mirroring, you can never turn away because then you're still focused on what you turn away from, which means that you will attract it. So you can turn towards, or you can embrace the things you want, or turn towards the things you like or want, and then, then that will be your reality that you live in. So your reality will not be filled up with those things that you would not wish to be there. So I think we have a great power ourselves, and also it's almost like in Ayurveda, as I think about the world as a whole, where they talk about those 5 elements and the doshas. If you have heard, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is space and air, Pitta, fire and a little bit of water, Kapha, water and earth. And how we, in our personal constitution, can... Oh, I didn't close the door. No, the window, I think. Anyways, in our personal constitution, we may be born in a certain amounts of these elements in ourselves. So, in our uniqueness of ourselves, and therefore we will also like and dislike certain things that balances us as unique individuals, not as similar to everyone else. And we will need different things and so on. But in the world as a whole, these elements will always be balanced. There will never be too much of air or water or so on, let's say. Yeah. But in more differentiated, tinier things of it, the doses of them will be different. And so I think that's the way with what we will call negative or positive and so on as well. It will always exist. It's there because it couldn't not be there, so to speak. If it was not there, the other things weren't there either. This universe is just full of immense, limitless possibilities. And that's how it is supposed to be. And we are super creative. We are creators. And so we are expanding, or we are in this evolutionary process of discovery of different kinds of things, maybe sometimes in the physical, sometimes in the mind, but we will always stretch. We will always, because it's in life itself to try various things. And since we are so creative, we will create the worst horrors, and we will create the most wonderful, awesome, joyous things. And it will always be there, that spectrum, I think. I don't think there will be suddenly a time when it's not. In this world, so to speak, in other dimensions of reality, or as non-humans, as souls, I think it may be different, but at this level of existence, that's what we wanted, although we may have forgotten it, or forgotten why. And so, yeah. Yeah. So, it's very interesting to think about, though. And as I said, I'm not sure even I agree with myself, but I will share what I think now. So I think we will always have these limitless possibilities, and that's a good thing. Even though, we will sometimes really not want a certain thing on that, frame of contrast, or what you can say. But it is as it should be. And if we choose a painful path, it will become clearer and clearer and clearer the further we go on that path. So we will be very, very clear about what we do not want and what we will want instead. It will build up in us this moving energy that will want something else, and it would be more and more clear what that is. And when things work out well, then we will also want to do more and more of that. Oh, I need to drink some water. So to grow in experience and in insight and wisdom. So I believe that we always live in our own little consciousness, our own little reality, until we will maybe be enlightened to such a degree that we actually experience ourselves as the universe, as the unlimited consciousness itself, the oneness. Oh, sorry, I can pause now. Actually, maybe I should when I cough. Yeah, I have to wait a sec. So good, you didn't have to hear that. Yeah. So yeah. So I think we live in our own little consciousness reality, but that the consciousness of the freedom to choose can grow and expand, so we can all create our own vision, and it is created naturally, even when we are not intending it or do it purposely. But it does so itself by trial and error, like if things don't go well and if they do go well. So, according to our own vision, then. And my own vision in this is to be able to continue to experience and live and grow in insight, and that cannot never be. So that's a good thing. It can never fail, because even life goes beyond even this life and everything. So so I don't dream of a life without contrast. I try to understand what I can learn, and I want to develop my consciousness, and also if I compare it like a medium and so on, if I think about this spirit or spirits also, and ourselves as we see ourselves as humans often, or as the ego or limited selves, I think about it like as if we are these limited, blind baby birds in a nest, and the spirit or the spirits are like what can I say? They kind of want us to. I don't find the English word for this, but they try to encourage us kind of to open our eyes and see and spread our wings and fly. But they come and they give us nourishment and warmth and encouragement on the way, until we realize that we are not limited in that way, in this three-dimensional world, that we actually are, like they, totally unlimited. And when we have reached that point, it's love that lifts us, and which is, I think, the strongest energy in the universe. So bumped into something. But that in itself does not mean that the contrast have vanished, and it does not exclude like pain or that can be, or suffering, even in my or others' lives, because life is never still. It constantly moves and grows and develops. So, and it answers us and shows the path to our greater and less limited or unlimited, actually, self. So, yeah, that's what I think. So there is no limit for that development, that expansion, or that evolution, if you would call it. So therefore it will never. I don't see that anyways. The end point. It is the awareness of what's going on that would be the as I see it, the highest conscious. The highest enlightenment of consciousness, let's say. It's not that it will not happen. It's like those, I don't remember those stories actually, those Zen, the ox, isn't that ox pictures or something? the one is, I don't know, going for water, and I don't know, there is this story, and then, gosh, I should actually know. I should put a link to it if I find it. I don't even remember how it is now, but it's like after the enlightenment sort of thing, the person comes back and do these same chores. It's the same world is still there, but that person is not the same, you know. So, anyways, yeah, and that's, I mean, in my vision of things, in my view, or perspective, you can call it, yeah. I wouldn't wish for that to come to the sort of a plateau of eternal bliss, kind of. Not at least now. Maybe I will get tired of this play of life one time. I don't know, in this way. But so far, I mean, I have experienced quite some things that I maybe would not like to be in again, but I still would not wish to have them undone. I wouldn't have wished to not have experienced that, because that have led to me now. And the scariest times that I have experienced, I have been so scared when I realized more clearly my psychic abilities, and so that I thought that I could actually call myself that without feeling like I was bragging, or I don't know. Strange. It was too clear to avoid it, honestly. It was when I was really, really sick, and I was living in Kungälv then, and I mean, physically super ill, and for a long time and quite isolated, and there was Lena Ranehag, that later became a mentor for like 10 years or so. Like TV medium. She said that this is a shamanic initiation. And I couldn't realize. I was really scared at the time. I really was. I mean, I had pain all the time. I couldn't hardly walk, and no one knew what it was. And I was like sleeping with my hand on the phone and hacking teeth because I was so scared all the time. You know, it was horrible times, but also the best of times, because it was really opened up to what is important, what is meaningful in life, and also to these awesome abilities, or the receptiveness to not be blinded by other things, and so I would never wanted to be without that, but I also would prefer not to experience that again. But it can't. I mean, you sometimes just need certain experiences to understand, to reach some sort of understanding, and also to go beyond fear. I think you need to get quite scared. How do you know otherwise, you know, that you are not? It's like the only way. If you are totally sheltered from everything, or try to be, I really try to sometimes. I mean, it's one thing to put yourself in danger just because. You can be discerning and so on without being afraid, but if you try to create a world, even in a vision, a world of nothing that will ever shake you, that will really be kind of dead. That would be a world without life or development, you know. So, anyways, yeah. So I think we can do more conscious choices, and that make it possible for us to live the lives we wish to live, and to create the world we really wish for, because we are the creators, or even co-creators. But I think of us as one consciousness, honestly. Not always, though, but I have realized it for long ago, that the eyes I look into are my own, or they, the eyes they look into are there. We are the same. We are the same spirit. And so, so this oneness, I think of us as a united creative consciousness, very creative, and that's why we can stretch it so far in all directions, because it's wild. This ride is wild, and the ability to create. I think many times, actually, this sounds maybe weird, but I do think so, that sometimes when people do the strangest or worst kinds of things, it's also like experimental almost, like, because the pull to go beyond what is allowed, or what is known, or everything like that, is so strong, to like stretch the knowing of this whole consciousness that we are. And through each of us are like facets of this, then, if you see it that way. But it's not divided, it's just we who experience it divided. But the universal consciousness experience more through each of us, because it's a unique perspective, the ones you have, or the vision you have. And so, yeah. So I think we are like that, just and in all directions. Even we want to create the most lovely things there are. So because we are like that, and I think it will continue like that. This variety and complexity, and it will not be less. But we can start to see who we truly are, and we can be free. Yeah. I will stop with that for now, and but I will come back to this. And feel free to disagree or send links if they are YouTube links. I may check them, but other things I will not click on, and or just write whatever you think about things. Because as with this whole thing, all other perspectives that are not like mine will always add to my consciousness, and likewise. so I actually truly appreciate, even if you will not see what I see or think as I think, of course, even more so maybe. So, yeah. Much love for now, and I appreciate you so much. Bye.